Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Zach with Money Pit RC. In today's video, we are going to be making a front bumper for my Datsun build. It's the Redcat Ascent18. We're going to be making a front bumper out of styrene. So I'm no professional here. This is kind of going to be a how-to, or it's just basically going to be a walk around of how I make my bumpers. So here's a couple examples of what I made recently. So this is just a super simple like Stinger style front bumper. I put it on the 4Runner. And then here's kind of like a different type of Stinger, but I added some like extra supports around the headlights. So no professional, but I can teach you some tricks, I guess. So let's get on with today's video. So here is the build that I am going to be doing the front bumper on. I just figured it needs a little something up front. I don't think I'm going to do a Stinger, but I do like the way Stingers look. So a couple things that you're going to need the styrene tubing, which this one is 3 millimeters in diameter. I feel like that's a good size just to play around with. You're going to need some flush cuts or dikes or whatever, just something to cut it with. You don't need this, but it makes it nice for when you're attaching two tubes together. It is just a little file, like a round file. Just something small, little round file. And then also the glue that I use is I picked it up at my local hobby store. It's this. I can't read it because the label's over top, but you can find this on Amazon also. It works really well. So you want to get this. I know a couple people use super glue. That works a little bit, but I have a problem with that actually adhering, just because the super glue doesn't really stick too well when that glue that I showed you basically like melts the plastic to make it bond really good. Alright, so the first thing that I do is I get a Sharpie, and then all I do is just basically mark how far I'm going to have it sit. So just want it, you don't have to do this, but this is a good base to build the bumper off of. So I cut that using the flush cuts. So now you have a base to work with of how wide the actual front of the body is. And then the next step, you're going to go on your phone, you're going to Google off-road tube front bumpers. Then you're going to go to images, and then you're just going to scroll and see what design that you like, just so you can get an idea of how you're going to build the bumper. Alright, so the cool thing about styrene is that you can mold it and bend it and flex it any way you want. But as you can see right here, we want to attach, at least have a base, so we're going to want to attach this here. So what I do is, the end that I'm going to attach to the bar, you grab your file, and I kind of put my hands like right here, and then I just go in between my fingers. You don't want to go too crazy, just file it enough to where it'll make like a little half moon. Might be really hard to see, but just where it makes kind of like a little half moon, so then when you put it on here, it's a much cleaner look, and it'll actually adhere better because it's actually sitting nice and flush on the actual tube. So kind of just an idea. So I want it right at the bottom of the hood. So I kind of have where my finger is. I'm going to mark it, and that's where I'm going to want my first bend. So since it's a very small area, a small bend, what you can do is you can get a lighter or a heat source, and you heat a little bit there. You don't need a lot. Trust me, it'll turn into a noodle. So you're just going to want to heat it a little bit, just to where you can bend it at that mark. So right there, I made a decent 90, I would say. I want you to keep in mind is when you're making this bend, you want to make the bend the same way that you filed. just so it sits flat, just so you're not like this and the bend's the wrong way. And I'm just gonna measure, let's say about, let's do 6 millimeters on both sides, just so we keep it straight. I'm probably going a lot more in depth than you need to. You can just slap this on, and it doesn't need to be perfect, but my brain won't let it not be kind of precise. So I'm just going to mark that at 6. Then I'm going to come on this side and mark that at 6 also. Like I said, again, it's hard to do it, but alright. So that's where my tubes are going to be. So now we're going to bend the other side. So I'm going to line it up with this mark just so I can bend it there. And hopefully it's okay. I have my top portion, all one piece, one bar. So now I'm going to measure this side that we already cut. It's about 15 millimeters. So I'm going to go on this side, and I'm going to mark it so I know where to cut, just so my bumper's not sitting uneven. So now we have our base. So what I'm going to do is, with my file again, I did file this way, okay? So on this end, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Put it between my fingers, and I'm going to file it. You kind of want to make sure you're lining up with the other side, just so when you sit it down in, it sits nice and flat. So right there, both sides. Come on, focus. Both sides have a nice little U-shaped. So when I stick it on here, it sits nice and flush. I am going to apply glue to the side that I filed, just because it does give it something to stick to. So you don't need a lot, just enough to coat it. I like to put a couple drops on both sides, because like I said, this stuff basically melts it. It doesn't really glue it, it basically melts it so it sticks. So once this side's glued, I'm going to line it up with my marks. And what you do is just going to hold it. You can hold it for a little bit. It doesn't take long for it to set. So I'm going to hold this for a little bit. If you don't want to hold it once it actually sticks, you can sit it down out of camera, whatever. Sit it down. And you can just let that cure for a little bit. Give it like 10-ish minutes. Alright, so once that is dry, what I like to do, just as like a precautionary measure, take a little bit of the glue and just go around the seam. Just go around it. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just gives me that extra layer of protection. And then what I found the easiest way to attach it is I always attach it to the body. So you get your extra piece, and I will just measure, not even measure, but I'll just lay it, hard to see, but I'll just lay it next to it, and I will just cut just like a little piece, and then I'm going to glue it right to this back side just so it doubles up. Get a whole bunch of glue. All I do is just on the bottom, just have it double tubing, and then I will use this part of the tube to attach it to the attach it to the front end of the car. All right, now that that is all cured, so I'm just gonna mock it up quick. That's kind of what it's gonna look like. I really don't like it, but it'll do. So what I normally do to paint these is I will just spray paint it black, and then I will use a silver paint marker and kind of make it look like metal, just kind of a little silver. So we're gonna do that right now. All right, got it all painted up. Not the best, but it'll do. So how I attach this to the body is that Starbond reached out to me. They wanted me to try a couple of their super glues, and I found that this works pretty much the best for all universal applications. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of this to attach it to the front. So I really like this glue because it sets really quick. So that's kind of what it looks like now. Again, I really don't think I like it, but I can change it. So that's kind of a simple way of doing bumpers. I know I kind of made a little bit more involved with measuring and stuff, but you don't need to be that particular. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, so let me know in the comments below if you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. You know I enjoy reading through all your feedback. I'll catch you guys in the next video.